We're theme park families.
Theme park families.
We're theme park families.
Won't you join us now?
We're theme park families.
Thanks for joining us, we aim to please.
If roller coasters got you weak in the knees,
We're theme park families.
if you wanna find the best dessert or
Take a potty break with privacy,
find a coaster that is tame for little ones,
or one to make you scream.
we're theme park families.
Everybody's at a bad baby.
Rescuing you all from my surgeries.
We're theme park families.
We're theme park families.
Press the space bar. Yeah.
Yay!
Hey guys, Adam here.
And Andrew.
And welcome to another episode of Theme Park Families. Spring is finally here, even though the calendar has said it for a long time. But now lots of parks have started to open. A couple of weeks ago, Great Adventure opened, and then we had Kings Island open this past weekend. And so it's great to see a lot of people get into parks, and hopefully you've all been able to get to one so far. And if not, it's right around the corner for you. It's exciting because Kings Island just had an event. I don't know if I told you about it. The Beast had its 40th anniversary, and the first number of riders got special t-shirts. It's got newly painted trains, and so it's great to see a great coaster getting a day like that, and we'll be out to Kings Island before you know it. But speaking of Kings Island, we got a trip report from our good friend Davey from Ohio, who sent us this trip report from his trip to Carowinds. So we'll take a listen.
Yep.
Hey theme park families, this is David from Southern Ohio coming at you live from Copperhead Strike's world debut weekend at Carowinds in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's been a great weekend. The weather has been absolutely wonderful. It's great to be back in amusement parks and enjoying rides with good friends. I'm going to give you a hot take from the park and tell you that I do believe that Afterburn is a far better B&M invert than Banshee at my home park of Kings Island. I'm also going to say I think that my favorite ride here is not a roller coaster. I think that my favorite ride here is Southern Star, the inverted looping pirate ship. It's an absolutely wonderful ride. And I think if you get down to Carowinds, that you should really give it a chance. That said, Copperhead Strike, great. Fury, great. Carowinds, great. So, at Carowinds, when the Carolinas come together, good friends ride together. Davey out.
All right, Dave, thanks so much for sending that in. We love the enthusiasm, and to travel from Ohio to Carolina on the opening weekend to ride stuff, pretty cool, and we love that enthusiasm. So, some interesting things he said there, huh?
Yeah.
So, first of all, Afterburn over Banshee.
I agree.
You do. I had a feeling you
I
did.
don't like Banshee that much just because how short I am. Like, at my length, my legs are, like, hitting part of the train that kind of hurts a little bit. So, like, it hurts my legs a little bit.
And on Afterburn, you don't get that at all?
No.
It's so weird. I guess those restraints with the vest versus just the over the shoulder, for some reason, the angle that your legs are at, it just makes that big a difference.
And I think Banshee isn't that intense, and it's just like a roaming coaster that, you know, just loops a lot.
Yes.
Whereas Afterburn, its inversions are way more intense, and like they whip you around if you're in the back.
Yeah, so Banshee is one of these weird rides that people either love it or find it boring. It's an odd ride like that it's so controversial in terms of how people feel about it. And I think Alex, as we'll talk about in our next episode, feels very similar to you in that he agrees. He loves Afterburn and Batman, which you haven't done yet, but he's gotten to do at Great Adventure. He loves those way more because of the intensity and the graceful loops and inversions of Banshee kind of bore you guys. So you have a couple of fans who agree with you. I happen to love both. They're very different, and I really enjoy both. But I agree with that intensity. Afterburn is such a great ride. Now, the more controversial take, his favorite ride in all of Carowinds is Southern Star.
Wow. Not Fury?
He said he loved Fury, loved Copperhead Strike, loved Afterburn, but no, Looping Star is worth the 8-hour drive.
I'd agree with him that it's the best flat ride at the park.
Okay, not Windseeker.
If it's open.
If it's open, if it's not
Actually, I haven't done that Windseeker there yet.
Right, you haven't. I did it once, but they're all pretty similar. Berserker, I remember, King's Dominion has the same model. And interesting take, they are fun, right? Now, what's the difference between that flat ride, the looping ship, and a Larson Looper?
On a Larson Looper, you have a track, whereas the swinging ships, you don't.
But it kind of does the same thing?
Yeah.
I prefer not having the track. I think visually that makes me a little dizzy, having the track and just continuously going up and down.
I agree.
Plus, not hanging I like better, so thoroughly agree.
I like hanging.
That's what makes me dizzy on that ride more than anything when you hang there.
I just get nervous that we're going to get stuck up there.
That would be bad. Yes, but Larry Larson, I think, ensures that there's no getting stuck up there policy. That's the last thing Larry wants, so... You probably don't know that guy, Larry Larson. No. Yeah, he shows up on In the Loop. I think he's a friend of Drew. He comes on. Yeah. Very, very cool guy. Very enthusiastic about his Larson Loopers. So that's quite a take, though, to enjoy that ride more than Fury. I wonder how many times Davey did it on that trip.
Yeah, he might have marathoned it.
Yes. Are you okay with Davey taking your goodbye phrase there?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, maybe we borrowed it from EB. From many years ago.
We didn't.
Oh, he never says any of his characters out?
No.
Okay, then we didn't borrow it. Sweet. Love that enthusiasm. And we'll be talking about our trip to Carowinds that we did a couple of weeks ago with the coaster crew and all the fine folks in that club. Just had a great time there. We'll also be talking about our trip to King's Dominion to see our good friend Clint that we had last weekend and the sorrow of seeing Volcano in its current state. And then we'll also be talking about my trip to Great Adventure for opening weekend with Alex as well in upcoming episodes. So we'll chat about that. But before we do get there, let's chat about what we have for this episode. This is going to be another part in our series. These enthusiasts really like their coasters. And for this one, we talked to someone who had a love for a very bullish ride, as we'll see here. Ready to listen?
Yep. Let's hear it.
Continuing our series, these enthusiasts really love their coasters. We're really happy to welcome Ryan Freund to the podcast. Thanks so much for giving us some of your time, Ryan.
Thank you for joining me.
Well, before we get to your coaster love, can you give us a little bit of your theme park background, how you got into the hobby, how long you've been in it, and how that kind of formulated?
Sure. I started going to Great Adventure back in 2001, and my first major coaster was Medusa and Batman.
I think we have a birthday coming up for Medusa/Bizarro here pretty soon, right? A milestone coming up?
Yes, that is indeed. It is 20 years old this year.
Yeah, so I don't know. I haven't seen yet if they have any plans to do any kind of celebration, but I would think so, as it's such an important coaster in the grand scheme of coaster history. I don't know if you've heard anything, but I assume they're going to have some kind of celebration.
I think for members, like someday in June, they're giving out like a special pin.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about this. Yeah. A couple of people have mentioned it this year that there was the whole opening day member pin thing that people were lining up for. Are you a member of Six Flags this year?
I'm just a Gold Pass member, a regular season pass holder.
So are we. So we're not, I guess, going to be a part of the whole pin revolution. Same thing here. Did you wind up traveling over the years to different parks, or do you pretty much stick with Great Adventure?
I pretty much stick with Great Adventure, and then last summer, my friend Dave and I, we took a little road trip. We went to Six Flags New England for the first time, and then we went to Quasi, which is like literally right down the road from there. So
what did you think of both of those parks?
I really enjoyed New England. New England really blew my expectations, because I really enjoyed Wicked Cyclone, and then Superman, and then their Skyscreamer.
Yes. It's really a great 1-2 combo with those two. I don't know. Andrew, this is the year he'll do Superman, so he hasn't experienced that yet, but you would say, Rue, right, that's one of your favorite RMCs still?
Yeah,
It's easily
Probably.
It's easily your favorite one, Ryan?
I would say it's my number 2.
Number 2 RMC, okay. Yeah, so I think it really is an underrated park. It's not huge compared to Great Adventure, obviously it's tiny, but I think, yeah, there are a lot of great things there, and as you said, that Sky Screamer is such a difference that first time you're on it compared to the Great Adventure one. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the views there are pretty stunning. I love looking over the river there. And I think their Batman floorless coaster doesn't get talked about a lot, their Dark Knight coaster, and that's pretty good for a floorless one.
It's like hidden in the back of the park.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really kind of, and it's small too, as you haven't done that.
So not a lot of people see it.
So what did you think of Dark Knight?
I thought it was okay for what it is.
It is pretty small, but overall I think a pretty good coaster. Oh, and Kwasi, the other one that you mentioned. Park we haven't been to yet. What did you think of Wooden Warrior?
Wooden Warrior's fun. They usually make you pay by like tickets and stuff, but it was so empty that day. My friend and I were like 10 times in a row.
Oh, wow, that's pretty awesome. Without getting off?
They said just stay in the station if you want. You can re-ride as many times as you want. I'm like, okay. So I did front, middle, back and forth, and I'm like, all right, this is fun.
Well, it's really cool. People say that it's such a small coaster, but for a little coaster, it packs a great punch. So definitely a park we want to get to at some point. And so now, getting into the coaster that you love, the coaster that you marathon, and you can reveal for the audience which one is that?
El Toro.
All right, El Toro. Andrew, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
So, but how many coasters are you at right now? Around?
120?
120, even though even though Time Traveler was your 200th coaster, you're at 120.
I mean 220.
All right, so you're around 220. Very good.
Yeah.
El Toro, though, still number 1?
Probably.
For you, Ryan, do you remember your first ride in El Toro and what year that would have been?
I would say, because I was away from the park from 2001 to 2013, so I took a big hiatus, so I would say 2013 was probably the first time I rode it.
2013, your first time. And what was that first ride like for you? Explain it if you can kind of remember those feelings of what that was like for you the first time riding El Toro.
Because I was away for such a long time, I was like, wow, what is El Toro? This thing is like ginormous.
Before you went back to the park, it wasn't even something that you were researching, like it was new to you completely when you went?
It was a whole new thing. I've heard of it, but I never went on it until up until that year because I was too busy with school and stuff, so I was like, all right.
So you finally get there, it looks gigantic, a little bit bigger than Rolling Thunder, which was still there at that point. We went a couple of years after for our first time, after Rolling Thunder had closed, so we never saw it with Rolling Thunder there, but Rolling Thunder's lift hill must have looked minuscule compared to El Toro, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You go on in it for the first time, and when you get off, what was your thought?
This thing is pretty cool, I like it. Wow, that was smooth.
Yeah, that's always one of the reactions. People are saying it's getting a little rougher now. In the grand scheme of roughness, it's still not rough at all. But I think that's one of the first reactions. People have such expectations of what a wooden coaster is, and you get off that, and it's like, wow, that's not rough at all. There's nothing much too jarring about it. We go from your first time liking it, it's wild, it's pretty smooth. And what year did you start then marathoning it and counting your number of rides on it?
That started back in 2016, the year El Toro turned 10.
What was the motivation to start counting rides and deciding you wanted to really marathon it and devote a lot of your time to it?
I had 2 friends who sadly passed away, and I had a friend who I worked with who I was going to go ride it with, and he's like, yeah, we'll go on in the summer, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm like, all right, cool. And then I find out he passed away, and I'm like, you know what, this is for him. I'm going to do this and honor him. I'm going to see how many times I can ride this thing.
Wow. Well, we're certainly sorry to hear about your loss, but what a powerful tribute to him. So, interesting, as we've talked about as we're doing this series, that different people have very different motivations as to why they marathon a coaster. And here, is it really the kind of situation that every time you ride it, you're thinking of your friend?
I know he's with me at all times. I'm going up the lift hill, and I'm like, this is for you, and I know you're watching over me so nothing happens, and then I'm going to get hit by a loose article or someone having their phone out.
Exactly, which, as we know, has happened on that ride. I assume then you support the idea that now they have security there and they're checking to make sure that you're not bringing stuff on with you?
I'm perfectly fine with it. I don't need my phone in the line. I have my friends to talk to, and then I can live without my phone for like 5 minutes. I'm fine.
Well, and speaking with that, I know you've done a lot of posts on social media about friends and meeting people there. It seems to be kind of a pattern that you have. Can you describe some of those interactions that you have in meeting people and all that?
Sure.
Yeah.
I've had people like, oh, you're that Mr. Toro guy, and you like El Toro. I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Ah, so cool. And from just that, you've made a lot of new friends just from that ride?
I've met a lot of people. I've made friends on Facebook from Ohio to California and stuff like that.
Oh, that's so great. And Bud, that's what we talk about all the time, right? That this whole hobby is not about the rides, but about the people that are connected to those rides. So that is awesome.
What's your favorite part of the ride?
I would say the airtime hills, just going up and down, and then go right to the twister section, and it's. I really can't put into words. It's just an awesome ride. I never get tired of it.
You know, it was cool. I was there this weekend with my younger son, Alex. And to me, one of the fascinating things about that ride, and you don't even have to be on it, and I'm sure you'll kind of agree with this, is the sound it makes. It is such a, right? That kind of, that sound it has as it goes down the tracks. There's no other coaster that I've ever heard of in the world that has that same sound.
I call that the intimate fart.
I love that, right? You know what we're talking about, Bud? Right? There's no other wooden coaster that has it, so I think that's perfectly stated. You know what? You should send that into Intamin and have them trademark it. I don't know if they'd be as flattered, but I think that's a perfect way to say it. It really does sound like a giant who has some gas issues, right? Wouldn't you say, Bud?
Yeah.
I love that. So that sound is so distinct. So like Alex and I didn't even wind up riding it on Saturday because we were doing all the 54-inch coasters that he's finally tall enough to do. But we heard it a few times, and the intimate fart is absolutely perfect. We've kind of told the story, I think on our first episode we told our story of Andrew and I and how El Toro was our first coaster. And our first
big coaster.
Exactly. So it was 4 years ago that we just got into coasters, and I had never ridden coasters in my life. And we did a couple of the smaller ones there, like
Mine Train, Skull Mountain, Rail Runners, Roadway.
Yeah, and what is Harley Quinn now, and it used to be Pirate, whatever it was. Blackbeard's very good. And so, after going there twice, we went and decided to do El Toro. When you walk to that coaster for the first time, and you look at that drop, it is intimidating.
When we were doing Runaway Mine Train, for the first time, we were like, there's no way we're doing that. That looks scary.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, that's funny. When you go on Runaway Mine Train, you have that great view of El Toro's drop. And it looks so incredibly intimidating because of how straight down it was. And when Andrew and I got in line, we were freaking out. We were so nervous because it is a pretty intimidating coaster. And the worst part about it was we were next in line, and as you know, better than most people, on El Toro, there are a lot of times where the next train stays in the station a long time because of what problems that the train has, Ryan?
Yeah.
What do you know? What is always the issue why a train will stay in the station a long time? What's the issue with some of the patrons, as you know?
They don't buckle their seatbelts fast enough?
Yeah, so it's either them not buckling it properly, putting the lap bar down, and not putting the seatbelt on, or, as we all know, they're not exactly the most large-friendly ride. And a lot of people wind up doing the walk of shame. They'll jump on the restraints a couple times to try to get down. So we're next in line, we're waiting like 10 minutes. It's agony, and part of us wanted to leave. And so you get to the top of that lift hill, and I love that cable lift. You would agree? You really enjoy that lift hill?
Nothing like it.
I love that. And I love how it speeds up. And so it's really cool. And so I love that lift hill. And then you get to the top. It's brilliant how it does it. I love the fact on El Toro you don't just immediately go over the edge. That it gives you that little agonizing turnaround to really give you those 3 seconds to think about it. And then that first drop, to me, gosh, I'm somewhere near 300. I'm not sure. I haven't really looked at it too much, but I'm somewhere around 300 coasters right now. And I don't think any coaster that I've done comes close to El Toro's first drop. I don't know if you would agree with that as well.
I agree.
It's just incredible. Love that first drop. And then, of course, those next couple of hills after that, those airtime hills are terrific. Kind of like the turnaround. You like the turnaround as well, right,
Yeah,
bud?
I like it.
Yeah.
It's getting a lot rougher, but they redid it, right?
Yeah. So, Ryan, we haven't done it yet this year. How's the turnaround doing this year? Smoother or still a little chattery?
A little shaky here and there, but they always do an amazing job, the main team. They always do a good job of making sure that it's always ready for the upcoming season.
No, that's terrific and great to hear. And then the little trip through the structure there has a few moments, but then that surprise hill, especially that first couple times you do it, is such a surprise. And I think that's one of the greatest midway elements of any coaster.
Yeah.
That Rolling Thunder drop is
different.
It is, and no other coasters we've ever done has an element like that. A drop 3/4 of the way through the ride that still can surprise you like that and has that much airtime in it. We love that part, and I assume that's one of your favorites as well.
Yes, it is.
And then the whole Twister section coming back is a lot like Intimidator 305. Now, to you, favorite seat on the coaster would be?
I like the back because you get a lot of ejector airtime.
You agree, bud?
Yeah.
Yeah, we pretty much always head to the back seat. Just the first drop completely, and that back row getting whipped over that is just incredible, as well as the Rolling Thunder drop as well. So we agree with you completely right there.
Does it ever get old to you?
Never.
That's a great answer. So it's amazing you can do it however many times you've done it and still has the thrill, the excitement as that first time that you ever did it.
Still to this day.
How do you do your counting? And then you can let us know how many rides are you at right now.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
I have it on my Instagram profile and my Facebook, so I keep track. I add each day how many rides I do, and then I just keep adding up to the number.
You organize it through social media, and that way your followers can tell exactly where you're at. Do you have any idea what your record is for how many rides you've had in one day?
My record is 25 in a row.
Oh, 25 in a row. And that's physically pretty impressive.
Because one time we did 6 rides in a row, and our heads, wow.
So you were feeling it too a little bit?
Yeah.
And as you know, the best time to marathon is in the morning. We always try to get there first thing in the morning, and it's great that they have the policy if your row isn't taken or you can move to another row that you can keep rewriting, as Cedar Fair parks almost never let you do that. So is that generally when you get the most rides is in the morning?
I like to try to be like the first person there in the morning, and then I just put myself in a locker and I go and see how many times I can do in a row.
Oh, that's great. And I assume you've had a lot of interactions over the years with the crews that they get to know you pretty well by now, huh?
It's a whole new crew this year, but from 2016 to 2018, I had like the same crew in a row, so they're like all happy to see me, and they're like, "Oh, welcome back, Mr. Toro. It's a whole new season. We're glad you're back."
That's so cool. And hopefully as the season comes on, maybe some of those other crew members will be back. Maybe some of them just not ready first thing. Because it would be, I know, cool to see a few of them back. Are you able to do other coasters at Great Adventure? Or is it by now that you totally devote yourself to El Toro?
I love El Toro, but if my friends are there, then I go do everything else, like Batman, I do Nitro, Kingda Ka, Justice League.
Okay, so you will spread it out and all that. As we know, they got rid of their Larson Looper, so that whole area has changed a lot this year, as El Diablo is gone. Now, the speculation is that possibly the next coaster might go in that spot in the Rolling Thunder area. For you, being that it's your home park, any thought as to what kind of coaster you'd like to see Great Adventure get next?
I would like to see a dive coaster. That'd be pretty cool.
Okay, so some variety, as all of a sudden dive coasters have had this renaissance out of nowhere, where all of a sudden they're kind of popping up after SheiKra and Griffin. All of a sudden we've had this renaissance. So I could absolutely see that happening as they're gaining in popularity. So that would be pretty neat. Well, in terms of your 2019, other than Great Adventure, any other theme park plans that you have for the rest of the year?
I would definitely like to hit up Ohio, do Cedar Point and Kings Island, because my brother lives out there and I haven't seen him in 2 years.
Ah, very cool. And that would be your first time to those parks?
Yes.
Coasters out in Ohio that you're most looking forward to?
I would definitely say Steel Vengeance, because all my friends are like, "Oh, it's going to top Toro for you," and then I want to see what Top Thrill Dragster is like compared to Kingda Ka.
That's interesting. I have that debate with a lot of people, as all the Cedar Point fanboys are so supportive of Top Thrill. I'd be interested to see what you think of that. So I will let you experience that for yourselves without biasing you in any way. Steel Vengeance, you certainly know of it, and I'm sure you probably know the POV. So do you think it has a chance of dethroning El Toro possibly for you?
I think it does, but
Okay.
I'll be perfectly fine with it.
And because you'd like a coaster better does not diminish El Toro. You can still love El Toro just as much as you do, right? You know, Andrew, you don't agree? No, that El Toro just deserves to stay on top.
Yes.
It's kind of like, for years, I heard people doing the whole Voyage versus El Toro debate, and for years, I defended El Toro that, there's no way Voyage can be as good, but they're so very different. For me,
El Toro is still better.
Better? I don't know how you could say that. They're just different. One is 3 times as long.
Well, okay.
The other one focuses on airtime. Yeah.
I don't know. They're both equally good.
They're both equally good in their own way. They do different things. Talking about first drops like we did, a coaster I'm not sure if you're familiar with. When I said that there aren't any coasters that I felt their first drop was even close, I think Sky Rush, which Andrew will do for the first time this summer, is the second best drop of any coaster. I don't know if you've had a chance to get to Hershey yet, Ryan?
I have been to Hershey since 2013, and then when my mom and dad and I went,
okay,
it rained the whole weekend, so I got on no coasters.
Oh my gosh, that's a nightmare scenario. Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's horrible luck. But you still went?
Yeah, we ended up doing the chocolate tour, so I bought a 25-pound Hershey bar.
Okay, well, that's at least memorable. 25 pounds. Wait, Andrew, are you 25 pounds yet?
I'm like 65.
Okay, you're like 65. Okay. So that's huge. Holy cow, I don't think I've ever seen a 25-pound chocolate bar. Doing a chocolate tour all weekend isn't quite like riding coasters. But hopefully you are able to get back there, because that is the second coaster in terms of ejector air. El Toro and Sky Rush are the 2 sister ejector air intimate coasters. So hopefully at some point you're able to get there to ride it, because I think it's an incredible experience. So thinking about it as of right now, your second favorite coaster after El Toro would be what?
King of Ka.
King of Ka for you, okay.
I haven't done that yet. I did Tap Throw Dragster though, which was kind of scary.
And that's the thing. The weird thing is Andrew has very little fear of anything. The only thing that really did get him a little bit was Top Thrill. He did Zumanjaro when he was 6 by himself at night, and it didn't bother him. So this is the year we'll do King of Ka. What is it that you love about King of Ka?
What I like about King of Ka is just going that fast and that high up is just remarkable, and it's just it's so breathtaking. It's like, wow, like that was a rush.
It really is. It's quite a feeling. Those first 3 seconds before the cable lets go of the car, it's just such an amazing feeling. And it's interesting with that you mentioned that feeling. To me, there's one other ride at Great Adventure that gives you a similar feeling, that sort of feeling in the gut that you feel it. Well, El Toro a little bit, but the pretzel loop, especially if you're in the back of the train on Superman, that pretzel loop is one of the other moments in any coasters that really, you feel that intensity. Would you agree with that?
I think it's an okay coaster.
It's not the greatest thing, but that pretzel loop, I think, is an incredible moment. Just like a backwards loop on a boomerang is kind of intense as well. So it's cool to ride those coasters that push the limit and make you feel something, as King of Ka does. Now, the only time I've ever done Ka is in the front row. People complain that when you move further back, it's a little rougher, but I've only done front row, so I've never kind of experienced that. So in that way, I think Ka is just an incredible coaster. Plus, I like the airtime hill as well, which is one thing that Top Thrill Dragster doesn't have. Anything else that we didn't cover that you wanted to mention about El Toro or any of your experiences?
My one ride on El Toro, I was in the front row with my friend. We're just talking and chit-chatting, and then we watched King of Ka go up the lift hill, and it has a rollback.
Ah, wow. So you've actually seen one. So with that, you've never actually experienced one yet?
I missed out by one train 2 years ago with my dad.
Oh, that close. Holy cow. Yeah, that is like a coaster boy's dream of finally experiencing at some point that rollback, to feel what that would be like going backwards down that hill. So to get that close is pretty cool, and to see it from that lift hill is pretty neat too. So at some point, bud, right? How cool would that be?
We'll just have to keep trying.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to get on it to actually be able to try it. Well, that is a really memorable experience and a cool way to end. So Ryan, thanks so much for joining us, and absolutely it's a guarantee this year we'll see you in the back row of El Toro. Next time we get out there, hopefully we'll join forces and be able to ride the bull together.
Thank you.
All right, so very cool. It was great to talk to Ryan, and a ride that you are as enthusiastic about as he is.
Yep. I love it.
Could you imagine doing that 1,000 times, though? 1,000?
Well, I mean, not in a row, but I would do it.
I wonder how long that would take. 1,000 in a row. Well, the ride might be about 1.5 minutes times beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, boop, boop. I don't know. Many days in a row to do 1,000 rides. But yeah, that
would take a while.
Yeah, that would be a little dizzying. So very cool to hear from him and his special reason for loving that ride and marathoning it. So it was great to chat with him. So hope you enjoyed this next one in the series. We have a bunch more in the pipeline that we'll be doing coming up soon. So listen out and be ready for those. Well, also coming up here in the future, as we are recording this on a Tuesday, tomorrow's Wednesday. And what are we doing tomorrow?
We are going to the Canada's Wonderland Media Day for the new dive coaster, Yukon Striker.
Yeah, we're excited about that. It's a park that we love, and I think this is going to be a great new ride and a whole new take on the dive coaster, at least for North America. So be looking out for our episode that we're going to put up pretty much immediately. That'll be all day tomorrow, and we are playing hooky, but I believe it is for a good educational reason, taking them out of school for tomorrow, both Andrew and Alex. I think a good reason, as they will learn a lot and be able to write questions and ask things for the interview. So really excited about that. So we'll be putting out some stuff on our social media and our episode. Yeah.
I hope they have food there like they did for the Joker Media Day and the Twisted Timbers Media Day.
Oh yeah, I think they're pretty good to us and they'll be feeding us. So definitely check out that stuff. We'll be giving our reviews of the ride, doing pictures, and hopefully taking some video as well. So we'll be posting that stuff on our next episode, as well as hopefully our YouTube page as well. So check that out at Theme Park Fam on both Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
And check us out on YouTube at Theme Park Family.
Very cool. It would be good to see you there, as this is the season where we're going to be doing a lot more videos. So thanks a lot for listening once again, and we'll catch you guys really soon.
Bye.